Okay, it's my pleasure to welcome our next guest, David Latona from Tompkins Solutions. David, welcome to Impact.
Thanks, Jay. It's nice to be here.
You having fun in Park City so far?
Wonderful time.
Isn't it beautiful? Excellent. So, why don't you just give us a little overview first of what does Tompkins Solutions do?
Tompkins Solutions is a 47-year-old consulting and systems integration company. We handle supply chain issues. We help people with their internal workings of their distribution centers, as well as design and install the equipment for new ones.
Excellent, excellent. How do you see automation helping the supply chain today, the supply chain industry in general?
Well, I think automation is the next logical step in the evolution of moving things through a building. And so we've been using automation in numerous forms throughout the years and the decades. And as the advent of robotics is coming on, it's helping out even further.
Yeah. What are some of the innovations do you expect to see maybe over the next 2-3 years? Where are we going in this space?
Well, that's an interesting question. We've had robotics and automation in manufacturing facilities for a long time. We've all seen those GM plants where they're manufacturing automobiles with a robotic and a simplistic repetitive move. So what's happened in the last 3 or 4 years specifically is we've had a big advent in the software technology, in the ability to not just do a repetitive single line motion, but to have scanners and optics that will actually identify dimensions and sizes and weights in a single container of multiple items and be able to pick those repetitively without missing into a separate container, so picking an order. And that has changed a lot of our industry.
And if we're able to do a better job of that, what is the actual effect on the end consumer?
Well, hopefully it's going to be a lower distribution and handling price.
Right.
Every time you touch an item in a distribution center, it costs the distribution company money. So the fewer touches we can help them generate, the less their costs are to produce.
Excellent, excellent. What are some of the common myths about warehouse automation?
Oh, the biggest myth is that it's too expensive. We can't afford it. That's for bigger companies, and that's just not really true anymore. It perhaps was true to a certain extent 15, 20 years ago, but with the advent of better software and optical sensors, it's come down drastically.
Okay. And what are some of the other areas of value that automation can provide within the warehouse?
Well, it reduces the required number of human beings. So it directly affects the labor component, which is one of the largest components of any distribution facility. So if we can reduce the number of people in the facility, they're easier to obtain. And of course, they don't work, they do work weekends and nights and everything else. Yeah. Robots do, so.
Is automation the right choice for all houses? Can automation play a part in every warehouse?
Well, there's no one panacea to fix everybody's facility, but I think that there's some level of automation depending upon their operational processes that is applicable. So it may not, the best solution for your facility may not be the best solution for someone else's, but we're still talking about automating and using robotics in some form or fashion in every facility as we go forward.
And so for yourself at Tompkins, I mean, you provide a full array of consulting services to help companies figure out what is the right solution.
We do. We take an awful lot of time on the front end when a new client calls us in developing a data set and a future state that they want to arrive at, and making sure that their operational processes line up with the different options that are available within the robotics field. So things have changed to the e-com side drastically in the last few years, and so there's been a big paradigm shift from picking one order for 1,000 pieces versus picking 1,000 orders for one piece. Yeah. So that's why robotics helps drastically.
Yeah. So, with warehouse space already extremely limited, I mean, that's obviously something that, we deal with. How can automation fit into a facility's existing operations? We're not doing a ground up build. Can I retrofit? Can I bring this into my existing operation?
We call those brownfields, and it's certainly more challenging, obviously trying to mitigate any kind of risk of the ongoing business operations. But it does typically avail more of the cube of the building, so you're going to get better density of storage and goods. So it just takes a little more work and a little more phased installation and demolitions to work those into existing facilities. But again, utilizing and maximizing the cube usage in any facility is paramount to success.
Okay. For people that may have explored this solution 5 or 10 years ago and it wasn't right for them, what are some of the things that are available today with warehouse automation that maybe just weren't available the last time someone explored it?
Like I said, there's a lot of robotics when it comes to picking individual orders. There are multiple platforms for a goods-to-man operation where we're housing all of the available SKUs, the goods that the customer has, into one large repository, and then just feeding the operator exactly what it is that they're looking for. So we're automatically retrieving and so forth. So those goods-to-man operations, and there's a number of different platforms out there, probably a half dozen or more now at this point, and they're proving to be very, very useful.
Are there any like sort of actual, for maybe some of our viewers that aren't in the warehousing space or aren't in the automation space, like a real world example of how you've been able to deploy a solution that has actually helped, like a real world example?
Well, we have NDAs with most of our clients, so I can't quite go to some of the details, but yeah, we've actually partnered up with several of these other supplier firms and integrated their systems to each other. So it's interesting when you're feeding one robotic system with another robotic system, and so those solutions are becoming more and more common, and it's providing very great ROIs to the consumer and to the companies installing these systems. It really is.
And like with so many options available, how do you think it is best for a company to sort of start the process, determine the best type of automation for their specific operation?
Well, I think the devil's in the details. Again, I think if you don't take all of the data up front and truly dig into the operations, you can have two footwear manufacturers or two footwear distributors operating, you think they're the same, but they're not. And so you have to really dig into the operations and how they operate and their data sets as far as their SKU profiles, the order profiles, and specifically what their future state is supposed to look like. What are they going to be when they grow up when they're 5 years older, or 7 years older, or 10 years older? So I think you have to put all of the front end work into it, and doing that will probably ensure success.
Excellent. So talking about the future, and this is our final question. Like if you were to predict 5 years, 10 years from now, crystal ball, where might we be in this space?
Well, with the advent of optics and the software, as I've mentioned before, we're now getting forklifts that will automatically unload a trailer. So if they'll unload a trailer, they can load a trailer. So if I can put them away and I can pick them with minimal people, you're going to see a much more automated skill sets in the future for all distribution centers.
And ultimately, at the end of the day, that becomes better solution for the customer, the end customer.
The end user gets a lower cost, so it's a benefit.
Which we all love.
Absolutely.
All right. Well, listen, this has been an absolute pleasure today. I wish you a happy rest of the day and enjoy Impact.
Thanks, Jay. I appreciate it very much.
Thank you, dude.
Take care.
Bye.